What's up guys, welcome back. Today we're going to look at the Ret Paladin Mage Tower challenge. My last video on this was back in 11.1 and I had a little bit of a back and forth with somebody in that comment section who said my video was dead and not very helpful because of this severe increase in damage dealt to the player, crowd control not working on Sigryn, and Dark Valkyrs being bugged so that even if you're standing in the open spot, they shoot through you and kill you anyway. It was already well past my bedtime, so I waited until this morning to fire it up. I was disappointed to see that there's effectively no change in what's happening with this fight. That said, it is a goal of mine to put out new Mage Tower videos for all of the specs for Season 3 of War Within, and I think I can definitely improve on my last video. So before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave comments below about what towers you want to see next. Check out the Kai'Veza guides linked in the description below as well. We're still finishing up classes for that. Share this video with your friends if they play Paladin and don't yet have the Paladin Tomb of Sargeras tier set recolor, or the Soaring Spelltome mount, which requires completion of each of the unique Mage Tower encounters. Okay, given that the feedback was mostly based around player damage received, we're going to go over that real quick. While there is bits of damage going out from auto attacks, shadow bolt casts, and stuff on the ground that you might have to run through, that can all be reasonably healed up through self-heals with Word of Glory or picking up the golden orbs that spawn periodically throughout the fight. The following things will one-shot you or end you quick enough to make you feel like you got one shot. The first thing that's going to do this is Jarl Velbrand's Berserker Rage. This greatly empowers his melee attacks. He'll chop you up in 4 or 5 hits, but this also slows his movement speed, so you can actually just kite him out and do a little bit of a lap around the circle, but you can also stun him after he's been empowered, which doesn't cover the whole duration of the Berserker Rage. You can also sit and tank it with Blessing of Protection or Bubble. Again, not for the full duration, but certainly a significant portion of it. I would generally recommend kiting this out. You don't have to run too far, and Ret has a variety of ranged attacks, so you can still keep damage up on the other 2 bosses while you do this. Velbrand also has a Bladestorm attack that will basically one-shot you if you're in the very middle of it, but will also pull you in even if you're at distance. This pull isn't very severe. It's something you'll just need to run against. You can stun him when he's doing this, but I wouldn't really bother with that unless you know you're going to get sucked in and there's nothing you can do about it. Generally, you're going to have the movement speed to prevent this. The next up is Sigryn's Blood of the Father attack. This is a medium length cast that, if completed, will empower Sigryn to do unsurvivable AoE damage to the player while she's not crowd controlled. Back in the day, players used to keep this boss hard crowd controlled, so they didn't really have to deal with it at all. That said, I wouldn't even recommend doing the hard CC method. What I do recommend is stunning or blinding Sigryn when she's winding up that cast. She will not recast it, you'll just simply proceed with the rest of the fight. Important to know that the bosses share damage dealt to each other, so it's super optimal to have all 3 clumped up and to be divine storming throughout the fight. You're really not going to be doing any single target damage other than crusading strikes and auto attacks. Runeseer Falzar's one-shot is an interruptible cast, but you first need to break through the shield. You will do more damage to this shield by clumping the bosses up and divine storming them than you will by single targeting the boss. So you don't really change anything, you just swap over to them to interrupt their cast once that shield's broken. It's a very long cast, 15 seconds, maybe more. And you can even do this with a focus kick to cut down on target swapping. And keeping Sigryn targeted will make sure you have the best opportunity to stop Blood of the Father cast with Hammer of Justice or Blinding Light. And then there's 2 one-shots that are positional related. 3 purple glyphs will spawn on the ground, and when they fully shrink, they will detonate, one-shotting you with that detonation. And so you have to stamp them out before they fully shrink. Their timers are staggered, and that's represented by how big the glyph is initially, so you'll go for the smallest one, then the medium, then the biggest one. If you're fast enough, you can kind of do this out of order anyway. This is another reason why I recommend standing on the outside perimeter of this circle, because there's a very high chance that a glyph will spawn just under you or very close to it. But the green fell on the ground will slow your movement speed. This is another reason why you want to keep it out of the middle. And in general, I would make sure that you have 1 charge of Divine Steed on you in case you need to go really fast to stamp out these mines. Otherwise, if you need movement speed to run away from Jarl Velbrand's Fixate or position yourself for Dark Valks, you can generally just do that with normal movement speed or running around with, Blessing of Freedom on yourself. And then of course there's Valkyrs, which will spawn either at the front of the room, the back of the room, or on either one of these sides. They'll charge across the combat area, one-shotting you if they hit you. There is 1 safe open spot on every line of Valkyrs, and if you're not going to make it in time, this is a perfect opportunity to use Bubble. This does at times overlap with mines on the ground or occur halfway through you stamping out mines, so you may need to determine if you have time to wait for them to go by before you stomp out that final mine. Whenever this mechanic is going out, I would do your best to pay full attention to it. I've had no trouble with it hitting me when I felt like I was safe, but a lot of people say they do. You should just do your best to be in the very middle of that open spot as they go by you. If you're somewhat closer to one side or the other, they might be able to clip you there, but if you're right in the middle of that safe spot, you should be perfectly fine. Also important to know that everything that happens on this fight is on a timer. In my demonstration, I'm not using any consumables or any overpowered enchants. I just have whatever gems are in my rings and neck. That does include the elusive blasphemite gem, which gives me 10% movement speed, and my 2 ring enchants, which are 42 haste each. We're going to go over everything as I do it in the fight. It's important to keep in mind that Herald of the Sun is going to be way more survivability than Templar in this fight. If you're using Templar and you're wondering why you're taking so much more damage or having much less passive healing, it's because I'm playing Herald of the Sun, and there's a talent, Lingering Radiance, which will leave a free Eternal Flame on the player. This does pretty significant healing over time. Of course, I'll also be using Eternal Flame manually if I get low. I'll do my best to point out times when I'm taking significant damage and actively healing it back myself. We'll also have the ability tracker just above my action bars here so you can see the spells I'm casting. And so on the pole here, I'm just going to combat Sigryn. I'm going to focus kick Runeseer Faljar and bring them over to the blue mark, and then start shimmying them over to the outer perimeter here. And the first big damage event that's going to come is Jarl Velbrand is going to Berserker Rage, and that means he'll chop you up with melee attacks. We're going to Blessing Protection that first one, so we can just sit in there and keep doing big damage. And this is all cleave, even when Jarl Velbrand has the shield that you have to break, because that will do more damage to the shield than simply single targeting that boss. Here we go. Ooh, we focus kick. I missed the extended kick range. And you are going to take a little bit of damage here, but as you can see, it's not, it's not too much. It really isn't. And I mean, it's Ret, so you could probably one button rotation. We did Divine Protection here. That's just a little bit of a, 20% DR or whatever. I guess it's 40 with the, talent. We're about to get Berserker Rage, so we're going to bop ourselves here. And that means we're just going to tank it all out and kind of move them over. When that falls off, there's still going to be time on that Berserker Rage. So we're going to just make sure we kite it out a little bit. And that's what we're going to do here. We kite it out. Also got the knockback there. And so you can even run through them a little bit, right? Like, as long as you're not taking more than 2 or 3 at a time and you heal yourself, you're going to be okay. And you can see with Divine Steed, I had plenty of time to hit the smaller rune last. Now, you don't want to do that, but depending on your position, you might. Blood of the Father overlaps that second set of runes. We stun it, and then we just carry on with our business. We're going to kick Faljar and bring him over. And then we're just chilling for a little bit. We got some bad puddles here, but again, they're going to go away. We're going to Divine Protection here, just a little extra DR. Like, they do damage, and it's not to be ignored, but this isn't one-shot territory, right? We're going to manually Eternal Flame ourselves there. First Dark Valk should be coming up, I think. I know Ancestral Knowledge first. I'm going to heal myself, but we clump and cleave, and that shield's going to pop very easily. It's already popped, but you can keep her cast to keep him casting for like another 5 or 6 seconds. We're going to kick it now because we have to move for Valks, and we have plenty of room there, and we're fine. And you can see when you move away, even though Sigryn's a melee, we're going to stun the Blood of the Father cast, right? That's what you're about to do? Oh yeah, Bladestorm first. We could stun Bladestorm if we want, like for example, we could do that, and then we could AoE blind Blood of the Father, right? I typically don't disrupt the Bladestorm, I just kind of move out for it. But, either works. Bladestorm doesn't actually do any damage. Ooh, I missed the rune there. And see, I'm kind of dropping everything I'm doing and making sure I get right in the middle here. And then they go. And we have a Divine Steed, which will allow us to get wherever we want. And you're just alternating Divine Steeds and Hands of Freedom to make sure that you're not, like, running out of movement speed abilities. Ancestral Knowledge and Dark Valks. So we're going to position ourselves for the Valks. We're fine. Probably get runes as well. But we get back up here, we clump and cleave. Field's broken, we kick. And we just kind of move them out of the green puddle. See, I've been very bad with the green puddles already, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. And also not a bad idea just to grab those golden health orbs, because they do disappear over time. Gonna manually heal ourselves there. And we already stepped on that first rune. We got Berserker Rage as well. So we could stun him, but we're just gonna kite out because Blood of the Father is probably coming up soon. I don't have timers, right? So I kind of like playing without the timers. And it's gonna run out now. And so we're going to be fine. Maybe a little manually healing there. Acres. Okay, that's good damage there. Maybe there was still a little bit of a berserker cleave going on. And then we stun the Blood of the Father. That overlaps with Bladestorm. Is another reason not to, you know, want to do anything for the Bladestorm. Is that occasionally it does overlap with Blood of the Father. Or it certainly does right there. So, you know. But we're going to take Jarl Velbrand out of the fight any second now. And I will say, yeah, I did get close, you know, low on health a couple of times throughout the fight. But I'd also say, you know, I don't have any main stat enchants. Those will increase the healing you do with your Eternal Flame. The Leech enchants will increase the just healing you get from the Clump and Cleave, and that's why that strat is also really good, especially if you have the Leech enchants. So, but nothing was crazy, you know, 60% of my healing, Eternal Flame, Seal of the Crusader, Dawn Light, and then a bunch of random other stuff, Light, Forge Blessing, Holy Ritual. And yeah, I got low a couple times, but nothing I would really account for as being a one-shot. I'm sure some of those overlaps were me standing in the puddle, me taking 1 or 2 empowered melees from Jarl Velbrand while I'm moving around. And just for the record, I did have the energy shield option on my disc belt enabled. That was 2% of my healing. You know, if you want to do this fight at its hardest, don't do any enchants or consumables. If you're looking to greatly increase your power, you can do this through 2 enchants. Crystalline Radiance on your chest will give you nearly 100 main stat, and then using the Stormbound Armor Kit on your legs will give you 123 main stat, and then 118 stamina. That 118 stamina is another 1.5k health in the challenge. That's more than 10%. That's very significant. Additionally, if you use Chant of Leeching Fangs on your cloak and Chant of Armored Leech on your bracers, you're going to greatly increase your survivability. These will come out to more than 11% leech, and I highly recommend them if you have difficulty staying alive. There is also an extremely OP Embellishment Trinket combo. If you have the Darkmoon Sigil Symbiosis embellishment on your weapon, the Writhing Armor Banding embellishment on any piece of armor, which doubles the effect of the weapon, and then a Darkmoon Dex Symbiosis Trinket equipped at 5 stacks of the buff, you will have an additional 70% versatility. Combine that with the main stat and leech enchants I mentioned, and you're going to dust this fight in under 3 minutes pretty easily. And if you're looking for the best consumables, the Greater Flask of the Undertow, the Superior Battle Potion of Strength, and Borealis Blood Sausage will give you the most main stat of anything you can bring into the challenge. You can also add any older augment runes to this. They will either give you 7 or 11 main stat. Don't use the very expensive current ones, just use anything that's older. They'll all either give you 7 or 11 main stat. I absolutely recommend stopping there. You are going to be 98% as powerful as you can possibly be in the Mage Tower at that point. Going any further usually results in people taking it incorrectly and assuming that you have to get everything I mentioned. So we're leaving it there. You should really have 0 survivability or output problems in any Mage Tower challenge at that point, as long as you're somewhat following the mechanics and avoiding the one-shots. But yeah, that's the Ret Paladin Mage Tower Guide, Season 3, War Within. Hopefully this set you up with everything you need to know to get this done pretty painlessly. We're still going to continue with our Kaiveza guides. If you've not completed the Let Me Solo Her achievement for Season 3, you can check out all of our guides linked below. I'll keep descriptions updated so that you can find the links to all of our Season 3 guides in any Season 3 video. Let me know in the comments what Mage Tower guide or Kaiveza spec you want to see next. Subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so you can stay in the loop for those videos. You can check out our channel membership options by hitting the join button below. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day or evening. Peace.